Hello, today I would like to talk about hustle and burnout. And here's the thing, you are more than likely watching this as someone who has created success in your life. You've created a business, you've grown a business because you have a purpose. You know that you have a gift to share with the world. You want to make a difference in your clients' lives, you want to make a difference in your life, and you want to create something that's very heart centered and purpose driven. And maybe the way that you are working at the moment is not what you envisaged when you first started your business. Maybe you imagined that when you created success, you'd have more time off, that you wouldn't be working so hard, that you would have time to travel, to spend with your family, spend with your dog. And maybe there are some expectations that are being put on you by your clients, your team, yourself, maybe collaborators that you're working with, and really being in this hustle mode and feeling burnt out was not on your bingo card when you first created your business. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, because I meet so many women who are in this position. And look, the reason let's be clear here. The reason that I meet so many women are in this position is because I attract them on purpose through my marketing. Because as a human design projector, one of my zones of genius is to help people manage their energy. But I do speak to so many women that tell me the same story. You know, I started my business, I put so much effort into it, I put so much hard work into it. I hustled to get to the top. And now it's like I feel trapped. And actually, I do want to expand, but I don't want to go through that whole process again. And a lot of my clients talk about the fingernail climb to the top, where they're like climbing, like holding on, holding on. And they are forcing success. And I want to be very clear with you here and now. I understand that life and creating and building and scaling a business is not often a bed of roses. We're not Disney princesses living in a Disney movie. Okay, things can happen. It can be challenging and it can be scary, and we are putting ourselves out there big time, and it needs courage. So there will be challenges and there will be trials that will be sent to us to overcome. But actually, success can be created on our own terms. You can design a business that supports you, that supports your energy flow, and also gives you the flexibility and the freedom that you desired when you first started your business. So this is what I'm going to be talking us through today. I'm going to be talking about the signs that maybe your current strategy within your business is out of sync with your human design. Because of course, if you're watching one of my videos, of course, we're going to be talking about human design. I'm going to be busting one of the myths that I hear all the time about burnout, and also like how you can really align your human design, your type, and your inner authority and your energy to the strategic growth within your business that will actually give you more time instead of taking that time away. If you've never met me before, my name is Abigail Rebecca. I'm a human design business mentor. I am an international speaker. I am a thought leader, and my thought leadership really centers around empowering women to be iconic, empowering women to have the confidence and the self-belief and the self-value to go out there and create success on their terms. I am totally anti-hustle. My background is corporate. I suffered from corporate burnout again and again and again. I thought that that was the only way that I could live. I thought that that was the only way that I could create success. And actually looking back now, I realized that I was completely addicted to the drama and completely addicted to the crisis. So then when I left my business, when I left corporate and started my own business, this cycle continued. I was just like managing crisis over and over again, and actually using that as a badge of honor to look good and to feel good about what I was creating. And actually, it was not a great way to be able to live my life and run my business. So now I run my business on my own terms. I run my business aligned to my projector energy. I schedule in rest time. And through my human design, I understand how I can prevent myself from going through that burnout again. Because, like yourself, I want to be here for a long time. I've got a big mission in this world. I want to be showing up within my business, and I'm sure that you feel the same way as well. You know, there's that phrase, isn't there, that health is wealth? Well, 100% health is wealth. It's important for us that we are here, we can show up in our business, and very often those signs of burnout can show up in different ways. Sometimes I speak to women and they don't even realize that they're burnt out. They just think that, you know, it's a busy period, that it's a busy time of the year. And, you know, maybe the headaches are due to other things, maybe the feelings of stress and snapping at everyone. And, you know, those feelings that we can often have when we're stressed out and burnt out are down to other things. So let's dive into it now. Before I share some things with you, I just wanted to share a story of a client that I worked with a couple of years ago. And the reason that I want to share this with you is that regardless of where you are in your business, her story will serve as inspiration. Maybe you are at the start of your business at the moment and you are looking up to women who have created success, maybe either at the multiple six-figure mark, seven-figure mark, even eight-figure mark, and you aspire to be like them. Of course, you know, you want to be able to live that life. You want to have all the trappings of success, and also your reach will be much bigger, which will really serve your community and serve your heart. But sometimes the success, you don't get to peek behind the curtain. And that's one of the things that I get to do working with these women. And I feel very privileged to be able to do it. That first of all, they trust me to be able to confide in me in that way. And also, it gives me insights that I can use in integrity to help my other clients avoid any of these pitfalls that can be presented to us when we are scaling our business. So I was working with this client a couple of years ago. On paper, she was very successful. She was running a seven-figure business. She was speaking on stages. She was very well known in her industry. She was offering amazing services and products, and she was managing a big team. The reason that she came to work with me is that she was feeling absolutely exhausted and burnt out. And she realized that there were certain patterns in her life that was showing up in her business that was preventing the success that she wanted to create within her business. So her business was seven figures at times, and then at other times it was dipping below there. It was massively fluctuating actually. And one of the reasons behind that is that she was not working sustainably. So she was throwing a lot at her work and doing things that maybe in retrospect would have been best delivered by her team. But instead of delegating to them, she didn't trust them. So she was doing everything herself. So that was one of the things. She wasn't delegating, she wasn't doing things herself. And this is something that I see with leaders all of the time, and even back in corporate. You know, there would be somebody in a new leadership position when they were managing a team, and it was very difficult for them to delegate. So it's not the first time I've seen this, and it's not the last time that I'll see this. So that's one of the things she was doing. And she was throwing too much on her plate. So she was coming up with all of these ideas and delivering them immediately instead of giving herself space and working with her team to work out the strategy with it. So she'd come up with an idea and the next day it would be there and her team would have to pick up the pieces to be able to deliver it. And so there wasn't any breathing space. So that was the second thing that we were looking at. So what was happening is that she was completely burning out. So she'd work in these big bursts of energy with no space in between. And then she would then just completely burn out and have to go and take herself out of the business for months on end. So you can imagine the disruption that this was causing to the team, to the business. There was no one there to be able to lead the team. And because she wasn't delegating to her team effectively, they were heavily reliant on her within the workflow. So when she did take herself out of the business, then they won't be able to deliver because they weren't given autonomy to be able to do this. So I'd like to make something really clear here. It's not that she was working too hard. It was that she was doing work that wasn't lighting her up because she's a generator. And generators are here to work hard, to work, get to that place where there's no energy left, sleep, wake up the next day, work. But generators can get really burnt out if they're not doing work that lights them up. And that was what was happening with her. So when we worked together, she really started to understand those patterns and realized that she needed to be more consistent within her business. She didn't want to go through these waves any longer. She didn't want to be like showing up in her business and then leaving for months at a time. So she really started to understand her human design, her generator energy, how she best made decisions. She has emotional inner authority. So guess what was happening? She would come up with an idea, get really excited about it, make the decision at the very height of her emotional wave, not leave any space to respond to anything as a generator. She was acting like a manifestor and she was going away and she was initiating it. And then her team weren't able to pick it up because her team did not have the authority or the autonomy to do anything because she wasn't delegating to them. So she started delegating to her team. She started building trust with her team. She started evaluating her team. Why didn't she trust them? Was it something to do with her own self-trust and self-belief about trusting other people? So we did some inner work around that. We also looked practically at her team. Were the best people in place? Did she actually have people in place that were able to deliver the work that she needed to deliver? Were they aligned to her values? Did she feel aligned to them? There was a lot of stuff going on here. But actually what happened is after the 6 months of us working together, well, more than 6 months because she continued to work with me, but she was in a much better place where she was able to run her business consistently, but most importantly, did not feel frazzled, did not feel burnt out, did not feel stressed. So she was able to go away in her business as the CEO and run her business as a generator, waiting to respond to things, making that decision based on her emotional inner authority, delegating to her team, and also creating the life that she wanted to create because she liked to travel. She liked, she was speaking on stages. She wanted to go and travel and speak on stages. She loves to go to retreats. She loves to work on herself and her own personal development and her own spirituality. So that then gave her the space to be able to do that. So there are some lessons to be learned from this and also some myths to be dispelled. So the first myth that I wanted to dispel is people get burnt out because they work too hard. Well, that is the myth. And that is the belief that we have in society. How many times have you heard that? Oh, I was burnt out because I was working too hard. Well, no, actually, what if you're a generator, a manifesting generator, and you're designed to work hard? What happens then? So one of the examples from this story about my wonderful client, who has now built her business, by the way, now to multiple 7 figures, is that she wasn't being burnt out because she was working too hard. She was a generator. She was burnt out because she wasn't doing work that lit her up, because she was doing everyone else's tasks instead of delegating, because she wasn't waiting to respond, because she wasn't using her emotional inner authority effectively to make decisions. She was completely running her business from ego. That's the reason that she was burnt out. So if you are feeling burnt out, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're doing too much. It just means that you're not managing your energy correctly according to your human design. And this is a really good indicator that your current strategy is out of sync with your human design. If you're feeling the effects of burnout and they are physically manifesting in your life, in your body, then it will be a good sign that you're not actually in sync with your human design. Because in theory, if you are aligned with your human design and you're following your strategy, you shouldn't get burnout. Now, I'm saying in theory because I don't think that human design is a magic potion and you just drink the juice and all of a sudden life's problems mysteriously disappear. That would be like putting a band-aid on things. And at the end of the day, we're here as humans having a human experience. So I don't know about you, but I don't want my life to be absolutely perfect and, like the Disney princess. That isn't life. But what I will say about human design is that it gives you a really great tool to be able to use as a strategy to introduce that to your business, to your career, to your life, to your relationships, anything that you want to introduce it to, actually, to make life feel easier and to give you the freedom that you crave and the reason that you've created your business. So let's just talk about the 5 different human design types and the strategic energy, or the energy, the aura that is attached to each one, because that will really help you to understand whether you are following your strategy according to your human design and whether you are managing your energy in the right way. And again, there's no right or wrong with any of this. There's no right or wrong with anything. We get to choose whether we want to use human design in our lives and introduce human design into our lives, and whether we don't. And it's completely up to you whether you take this advice on board or whether you completely disregard it. That's completely up to you. But I guarantee you that when you start to work with your human design and understand how your energy operates, life will get easier. I'm a living example of this. My clients are a living example of this. There are thousands of people in this world that have applied human design strategy effectively to their life, to their business, and are seeing the results at the other side of it. So let's just quickly take you through the energy types so that you have a really good comprehensive understanding of that in relation to burnout and hustle. And if you want to learn more, you can always go over to my website, abigailrebecca.com, because there's loads of resource on there. And also there's loads of free content on my YouTube channel and you can subscribe to it. And if you have any questions, then answer them on the video below, in the comments below. Oh my goodness, I can't get my words out today, but I'm going to leave this in because I think it's a really good example of what happens to us is when we're projectors, when we, not that I feel burnt out, I definitely don't feel burnt out at the moment, but I'm tired. It's been a busy week and I haven't rested as much as I normally do. So look, we're all in the human design experiment. It's important for me to share that with you. As a line 6 role model in human design, I need to practice what I preach. And most of the time I do. And I'm very, very aware of my energy and how to manage that, but also I'm very aware of the signs that can come to me when I am feeling a bit tired and working too hard. And one of those things is that my mind just gets a bit confused and I get a bit of brain fog, and sometimes the wrong words can come out of my mouth. So I'm leaving this in as an example of how that might feel. Very subtle for a projector, but you can still feel it in that way. So generators manifesting generators. Yes, we've already dispelled that myth. The reason that you might feel burnt out is not because you're working too hard. It's because you're not doing work that lights you up. You are not maybe using your inner authority to make decisions. But most importantly, you're not waiting to respond to something. So the higher vibration frequency, when you're following your strategy, waiting to respond, is satisfaction. If you're feeling satisfaction, that more than likely means you are following your human design strategy to wait to respond. If you're feeling frustration, then that is a really good indicator that you're not aligned to your human design. Explore what's happening. Why aren't you waiting? Nip it in the bud now before you get to that burnout period. So this is about how you can mitigate burnout. So as a generator, manifesting generator, the way that you mitigate burnout is that you understand and notice the feelings of frustration, and that you follow your strategy, wait to respond. For projectors, your strategy is to wait to be invited. Your lower frequency vibration is bitterness. So if you are feeling bitter, then that is one of the indicators that you can use to mitigate burnout. Because if you allow that bitterness to fester, then that can then lead to burnout, because what you're probably trying to do is to go against your human design strategy to wait to be invited into things. This is not a passive energy, by the way. This is a very nice energy. You just need to learn how to orchestrate those invitations. I do actually have an online course all about it called The Invitation, that teaches you how to orchestrate those invitations into your life. But nonetheless, this isn't about pushing, it's not about cajoling, it's not about working hard. And also for projectors, it's really important that we take the rest so that we're able to guide in the most effective way. Manifestors, the way to mitigate burnout is to only work in big bursts of energy. You work with a burst of energy, you light the fire, and then you go off and you rest, and you go and light another fire and you go away and rest. Very, very important for you to delegate, because manifestors, I would think that you're probably managing a team, but maybe you're trying to do all the things, you're trying to manage the project, you're trying to complete things. You're not a completer, you're a fire starter, you're not a completer. So you start the fire and then you hand it over to someone else. An indicator that you are heading towards burnout is that you are feeling angry. You're angry because you're not informing people before you go away and you do the things. Okay, so you can actually self-initiate, but you need to inform people before you do that so they don't block you. You go and set the thing on fire and then you hand it over to someone else. And again, it's really important for you to have those periods of rest. You don't have sacral energy. So manifestors, projectors, reflectors, we do not have sacral energy, and we will burn out if we try and work like a generator, manifesting generator. It might feel like we can sometimes because we have either undefined or open sacral centers, and we can be bringing in that energy from the generators and manifesting generators in this world. Remember, 70% of the population have got sacral energy. So it might feel that we can do it, but actually we can't. That's not our energy. We're just tasting the energy from someone else. So very often we can feel that enough isn't enough. And I have worked with enough manifestors, believe you me, in my business, where they think that they can do all the things because they are able to self-initiate and they are incredible leaders and they can go and start things. They think they have the energy to be able to sustain it and to finish it, and they don't. So very important to delegate. And then for reflectors, our wonderful reflectors in this world, 1% of the population, you do have a lot of resilience, actually, not resistance, resilience. You have a lot of resilience. You know, all of your centers are open. So you are designed to make those big life decisions using a full moon cycle, 28.5 days to be exact on average. The way that you can mitigate burnout is to make sure that you are in the right environments. You're in environments that serve you, that support you, physical environments, and also around the right people. So environmentally with the right people to be able to support you in that decision making process. When you are not aligned to that, when you're not following your strategy and waiting for that period of time, or when you're in environments or around people that don't support you and that aren't aligned to you, you will feel very disappointed in life. So that is your lower frequency vibration that you can tap into, where you can be like, oh, I'm feeling really disappointed. Why is that? And you can use that to go and look at and investigate, okay, what do I need to be doing differently? And that is going to prevent your burnout. When you are feeling that higher vibrational frequency, you'll feel the surprise and the delight in life. So use those feelings and your understanding of human design to prevent the burnout before it gets too late. And listen, it's never too late. We can always reverse it, but it's always better to prevent it than actually have to go through that period of time to be able to recalibrate within our bodies and come back to a place where we're able to sustain a business. We're able to hold that space energetically for our business, for our clients, for our team. You know, prevention is better than cure. We all know that phrase. So that can be totally applied to your human design. So I hope that this video has helped you. Please comment below if you have any questions, if you have any aha moments. This video has been a little bit disruptive, I have to say, because we have now moved out of the countryside where you could literally hear a pin drop. Maybe the noise was from a passing tractor or from the cows mowing in the field. And we've now moved to city life, which was intentional. Myself and my partner Kev, he's a generator, I'm a projector. His environments is shores, my environments is kitchens. So we wanted to move back to the ocean. So we're on the ocean, we're on the seafront. We're completely in the city. It serves our environments, it serves our energy. But guess what comes from the city? A lot of noise. And on several occasions, these big trucks decided to be right across the road from our building and emptying the trash. And actually, an on-site shredder decided to turn up and shred all the paper that was in the recycling. So, you know, all kudos to Brighton Recycling because they're supporting the environment, but it's not good for when I'm recording on YouTube. So you might find, normally I don't edit my videos at all, I just record and put it out there, but you'll find that some of this is a little bit stilted, and that was actually putting me off a little bit. So just to let you know that that was happening, but hey, this is all good, right? I will learn not to record my YouTube videos on a Thursday morning. I will do it on a Wednesday morning as I normally do. Please reach out if you have any questions. You can always go over to my website and find out more about your human design. And please remember, you're not here to hustle. You're not here to feel burnt out. You're not here to be zigzagging all around. I would love for you to get to a point where you're feeling that success and you are reaping the rewards of your success. And part of that will mean living a wonderful life that's full of bliss, that's full of travel, that's full of freedom, and with you feeling really aligned to your human design. And it is, as I've said before, a wonderful tool that will be able to support you in that. So wishing you a wonderful day and lots of love, and I will see you on the next video.